Hey, welcome back for another episode of Resume Reviews. Thank you for everyone who sent your resume. We got a bunch of really interesting ones to look at. We're going to look at another three today. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first one's really, really interesting. And again, I'm going to try and, I looked at a couple of these ahead of time to get a little bit of context, but I'm going to try and hit it again fresh. And I'm just going to go top to bottom, just like a hiring manager would, so you get a really realistic understanding of what a hiring manager is looking for. And then we'll go back and do another deep dive. So first things first, I'm just going to go top to bottom. Education, I usually skip over that. Skills, I usually maybe kind of skip over because I want to see, okay, I don't want to see what you say you have. I want to see how you've actually implemented these things. Okay, experience, okay, intern, okay, so not a lot of experience here. What actually happened here? Okay, GPS, Python, okay. Data validation, okay, that sounds pretty cool. Okay, unit tests, I like that, 30%. Okay, so it looks like some well, Python, Django, okay. Not super sure front and back end yet, so we'll keep looking here. Okay, full stack, okay, full stack Amazon clone, so this is a project. Okay, open source, I do like that, that's really good. React, JavaScript, nice. And again, I like this, Stripe, Nextauth. Again, we're thinking more of a junior person here, so these things are good indicators that they've at least touched a lot of different things. They know what these are and they've had to go at them, so that's good. Personal blog, typically I'm like, okay, well, this is something you built. Again, we want something that other people were a part of or the clients drove the requirements, not you drove the requirements. So I generally say, okay, I would just skip to the next one. Really like this. I know it sounds a little silly, but saying Spanish fluent is super useful. Really a great skill to have. So I think that's really powerful. What I would maybe instead do is find some way of, this is probably assumed, and so find some way of specializing on this without like making it having to say both. But I think this is a good compromise. And then I would just, I'm like, okay, well, this is additional experience. Doesn't apply to me. I'm out. So I'd probably cut that out. So that's, again, very quick, really quick overview. So let's do a little bit of a deeper dive here. I'll cut back on some of these just crossouts here. But let's do the next kind of phase here. So let's actually look at, shift over here. And let's say some of the things I really liked, because there were a lot of bits I actually really liked here. So I do like actually the highlighting. I think that's really good. I do like it generally highlighted. I do like seeing actual real numbers, which is good. This seems like something really interesting happened. I think this is an interesting thing to be part of in that, wow, data validation, anomaly detection, GPS app, that sounds really cool. But we'll get into this a little bit in the areas to improve, but it does seem a little bit short. So I wish there was more. I like open source. It sounds really good. A really nice description of all the different things involved. And wow, it seems like this was a really great project with a lot of great skills learned, which is really cool. And like I said earlier, having multiple language, super powerful, really great thing. Unfortunately, I think that's where the good things end. I think there's a lot of areas to improve. Some of these are just tricky because you're early on in your career. Other things are things that we can improve on. So a couple of areas I would definitely improve on is just kind of formatting. It feels very squished, like it just feels like very tight. I just feel like you can kind of space out a little bit. It feels like you're trying to make it fill a whole page, but there's no need it doesn't have to fill a full page. Like whatever. Like it doesn't have to fill the full page. So if it fills half a page, it fills half a page. Don't feel like you got to stretch it. Don't feel like you got to use big font size. Really no need to do that. I would get rid of this additional experience. No need. I mean, it's cool. Like that's good to know. But again, your goal is not to say, hey, I have done a lot of professional things. I am an adult doing adult things, as much as to say, I have specifically done the things that you want to do. Skills are not something I'm usually super excited to see. If you're going to include it, maybe put it at the bottom, move that to the bottom. And if you are going to include it, really only include things that people aren't just going to expect, that aren't just rounding errors. This stuff, I mean, I do like TDD. That's actually pretty interesting. CID, CD, that's pretty cool. And that DevOpsy stuff. But I still would probably like just kill this whole row. I'd say whatever. I'd probably get rid of all of this. I stand. Let me see here. Nextauth is interesting. Webhooks not so much. Firebase is pretty interesting. AWS, Docker, okay, maybe just kill those. The rest is probably fine. Database is okay. What I'd be concerned is just looking through this. It feels very much like a junior resume. And when I say a junior resume with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, we'll do 7.5 languages. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. This is more believable than this. So like I can understand somebody knowing, a second language, but to know seven programming language, impossible. It's just one of these is a fib. Pick your battles, pick your languages. My resume has JavaScript and TypeScript, which are basically the same thing. And that's it. That's all I know. Pick your battles, own that. Even if you know more, no reason to put them on here because it says more than you need to. And there's no need to say that. You've already said here Python, which is good, JavaScript, which is good, and like that's it. Like sure, okay, you got some Django, Postgres, whatever, right? Okay, fair enough. Put those in there: Django, React, JavaScript, Python. Like that's it. No need to put all these other ones. It just makes it feel inflated, artificially inflated, and it makes it feel like it's a paper that you wrote and you need to make it 500 words and you've only written 100 words, so you put it into filler. No need to do that. No need to do that. I would say no need to include all this like graduated dates and all that. It's just like whatever. Like it's not super useful and kind of gets in the way. What I would then do is take the skills, whatever's left of the skills after this and education, and move it all the way down to the bottom because it's just sort of gets in the way. Usually this experience section is 85% of why people say I want to hire them is the experience. Even if it's internship, your experience. Next thing up is the projects. And this first one actually looks pretty cool. You got a lot of cool stuff going on. I love that it's open source. But then this personal blog kind of gets in the way. I know you got cool stuff in there. I'm not saying it doesn't. But the fact that we know it's a personal blog basically immediately disqualifies it because it seems like, well, it's just something that they built for themselves. And again, I know I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm just saying it feels fake. It feels artificial. It feels like I constructed this to do things. And so what you instead want to do is find some way of making it seem like others had input in it. There were other stakeholders other than me. So either it's open source or whether you actually had clients or whatever it is, find some way of making it seem like I was given. So here's the flow that I want to see. I was given requirements. Step one, I was given requirements. Wow, that's supposed to be a 1. Okay. I was given requirements. Awesome. Requirements. Wow, I can't spell. Requirements. I was given requirements. Step 1. I did things. Step 2. Whatever, I'm not even going to type that out. 3 is there were issues. 4, I resolved the issues. But if it's just you building it, it really is just like, I just built the thing. I just built the thing. Like it can feel like it wasn't as serious. Now, was it really serious? Potentially. Maybe you did a lot of really cool things. I mean, obviously, cool CRUD stuff, Django, Postgres, there's cool stuff going on there. But what you want to do is not give that illusion by saying explicitly it's a personal blog. Find some way of framing that in a different way to where it feels like maybe this is more serious. Either say like, hey, I made a platform for managing content, and you're user number 1. Find some way of making this feel more serious. But I do like the stuff that you're learning there, and obviously API endpoints, but like that's about it. So anyway, hopefully that was useful. Let's move on to resume number 2. Wow, this one, I mean, look and feel, I think you can kind of see font size is definitely different. Okay, so we're just going to top to bottom. We're going to try and keep this quick and just give a quick overview. Again, you get 20, 30 seconds at most. So first things first, education, I skip over that usually. Experience, again, I love the experience that's near the top. And so I'm immediately presented with, okay, a specialist. Okay, well, digital specialist. Okay, that sounds pretty good. RESTful APIs. Okay. Human error. Okay, I'd love the 90%. That's pretty good. Oh, document management. Nice. Pretty good. Implemented automated script. Role assignment. Oh, nice. Automated. Oh, I like this automation. Okay. Oh, nice. ERV. Nice. Python, reducing process. Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. I like the sound of this. It sounded more kind of maybe more back-end stuff, Java applications. Okay, that's good. Okay, product engineer. Okay, good. I like more product mindset. That makes me feel good. I'm just a tech person. Implemented back-end services. Great, awesome. Platform layer using Spring Boot. Oh, I like the sound of that. Participate code reviews. Okay, rounding error. RESTful APIs. Okay, improve API response time 30%. Okay. This one feels a little bit, maybe not as exciting as the top one, but it's still some interesting things in there. Okay, it was an intern and did some Angular.NET stuff. Okay. This is, I've said this before. What you want is your resume to feel like this. This is your career. and you are here. You've had this steady increase of responsibility and technical challenges. You know, your first item is here, your second item is here, and your third item is here, and they want to hire you right here so they can get you while you're cheap, basically, and you're clearly on the way up. This actually has a really good feel for it. I started as an intern, I was a product engineer, and now I'm a specialist. Like I'm leveling up, and the size of each of these grows as you go. So I actually think that feels really good. Like my intuition's really good on that. Let's talk about projects. So this is like a chunker of a project. Projects really more project. It's just huge. But again, I like that it's consistent. It's back in the whole way, back and back and back. And that's my biggest thing is pick a lane and really double down on it. This one picked a lane. The back end, that looks good. And you know, microservices, that's good. Microservice. I sense a trend here. I think you could probably just say it once, but we've looked like we got it a couple times here. OAuth, okay, API, RESTful, Apache, wow. I was trying to say a Kafka, but Apache Kafka, okay, blah, blah, blah. I don't think you have to say Apache. I think you just say like Kafka. I think that's assumed. Yeah, and there you go. I usually just like, if we get down to this area, usually just like, okay, whatever. Like I'm like, this is noise. That's just my opinion. Okay, so let's, some of this you gotta have, but like, it feels more noisy than others. But anyway, okay, so let's go kind of zoom through this real quick. So let's talk, actually, let's flip it this time. Let's talk about some things I might want to change here. So let me switch over to this guy. I'm gonna try and use a shortcut. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so some of the things I would probably improve is the GPA and all that stuff. Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it. I think you can get rid of that. What you actually did, I think that's fine. I would probably move the education to the bottom. That's just my opinion. Like, get to the good stuff. Everyone's here for the experience. You get hired for your experience and not your education. Just skipping down to the bottom here, because I saw this earlier. You know, get rid of this. I mean, we all have that. Awesome. I wish there was a comma there, and I wish there was Hacker Relay here. But, you know, it is what it is. Certifications. I'm not against certifications in that there could be some good ones. Like AWS is one of those recognized ones. And I think, you know, you could get, if you're doing DevOps, like Kubernetes stuff, I mean, there's all kinds of certifications. I'm not familiar with any of these, so maybe they're good, but when in doubt, leave it out. It's my new motto. Volunteer work, okay, you know, interesting, but I would cut it out. Hobbies, soft skills. Languages is tricky because we saw this on the earlier one where they spoke Spanish. I think languages could be useful to keep in there because it really is like super meaningful, especially if you have like a global workforce, and that is so powerful to have all these different languages. So I would keep that, but maybe find some other way of putting it. Like, it's always tricky. Like, where do you stick something like that? And so I don't know the best way of doing it, but include it somewhere on here. But maybe, you know, don't try and have this filler information or something like that. So I don't know where that goes. So anyway, there's that. So, but I think it just feels a little busy. Probably could get rid of that. Skills, kind of jumping back up here. I'm jumping all over the place, so I apologize. But this actually feels good. I've said this on other ones. If you've got too many skills, you have no skills. Like, pick your lane. This one feels pretty consistent. I think REST APIs just feels a little bit like a rounding error. Most people have that. Microservices, okay. Like, okay, you've got some experience there, but what I'd rather see is it in here, which you already have in abundance. I would say if you have it overly listed, it's probably fine. And I'm also the opinion, if you very effectively explain all the languages that you're doing, you don't need to put it up here. So, you know, that's just my thing. I mean, when in doubt, take it out, leave the skills, and just say, hey, I don't have to explain the skills. I tell you about the skills. And then some people literally put skills under here, so it's very clear in case it's not obvious. But I like it in line and just say, here's the context. I use Python under these circumstances. And then that way it's very clear. And that way I can actually track, oh, they did Python, they did Python, they did Python. Oh, they've done it for X many years or whatever. So, but otherwise I think it looks pretty good. So we'll actually say what's good here. So I do like the formatting. It's not a ton of margin like a resume had. I like the very consistent, like font stuff. I know that sounds crazy, but we're going to see some different situations where the font might be more inconsistent. But I do think that I just the shape of it, like I said earlier, I like this. Like it feels like there's a real steady progression here. Um, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I do feel like there's some inconsistency around the company, the role. See, that's like the company, then the role, and this one is the company, and then here's the role. So maybe be consistent with that, and then why is this not over here? I feel, I just feel like there's maybe some inconsistency here. And maybe it's because Infosys is like all under one, but I would just list them as two different experiences. Like I wouldn't try and be fancy and be like, well, they're all Infosys, so like let's just put them as separate experiences. So, because again, you don't want to like make people be like, what's going on here? Make it as clear as possible. Um, I do like this as a project because it's got a lot of cool things here. I mean, like wow, supporting money transfers, like transaction stuff. I mean, super powerful. A lot of like cool like ACID stuff in here, like really good API gateway. But it does feel like maybe stick it to like keep to like 5 bullet points maybe and make them all fit on one line instead of them kind of wrapping. It just feels like too much. You're trying to like stick a lot in there. No need. You don't have to oversell it. I think what I'd rather is 3 to 5 bullet points that just blow people away instead of being like water it down by having too much in there. So that would be my opinion. But otherwise, it looks really, really good. A lot of things to like here, and like there's a lot to like here. So let's keep moving. Um, Last but not least is C here. Now C's interesting. I mean, this looks like kind of like a standard resume template, like in a lot of good ways. In that it is not like super weird looking. It just looks about the way you would expect. And so we'll start again top to bottom, and let's just see how see if we have anything interesting here. We'll do this one. Okay, so top to bottom. I usually skip over the professional summary just because to me it's like I don't have time to read through that. Usually skip over skills because I want to get to the good stuff. What's the good stuff? It's the experience. What have they actually done? Okay, full stack. Okay, good. That's what we're hiring for. Great. 10 custom web app explanation. Okay, next. React. Okay. And notice I didn't say freelance because my eyes are moving too quick. I'm not even catching. I don't even care that it was freelance. It's full stack work. 100% client satisfaction. It feels a little bit like arbitrary. Like I'm sure you have some online rating system that's 5 stars, but like, I don't know. It just feels a little bit like forced. Like, how could you really know that it was 100% client satisfaction? It just seems too, I don't know. I would probably leave that out. Architect complete finance system, offline functionality. Wow, that is tricky stuff. Offline functionality. That's really cool. Next.js, nice. I like the sound of that. Oh, Prisma, nice. SQL, I do like sound of the tech. Reducing manual accounting, 86%. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Store management solution. Okay, increase client's operational efficiency by 40%. Some of these feel like, what does that even mean? What does it mean to increase a client's operational efficiency? Like, how do you track that? Like, I do like seeing numbers, and I know that's a big emphasis, and like, we like numbers, 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 and that's like what any video or anything on resumes, show them the numbers. I love numbers, but make the numbers feel like meaningful and like something you could track. Like, test coverage is one of those things you can track. Like, you actually have tools that say you're 60% and now you're 70%. But like, operational efficiency is like, I don't think really anyone knows what their operational efficiency. What does it mean to have operational efficiency of 100%? Like, what does that even mean? So just be careful of making sure you're not just putting weird things in there. Interactive MPC editor. Okay, actually web app, JSON import export. That's cool. Local storage integration. Okay, that sounds really cool. Responsive weather app, a geolocation weather app. Okay, fair enough. Airbnb clone. Okay, complete booking system. Complete booking system. What? Search functionality, user authentication. Why is this like higher up? That's like crazy. That sounds really cool. So, something to keep in mind there. And okay, then they had some projects. This looks like a lot of them. And I'm like, wait a second. NPC creator. Interesting. Are these the same thing? I don't know. Maybe. It feels like it might be store management. Wait a second. I think I saw store management up here. Store management solution. Wait a second. Finance management solution. Finance management. Okay, what's going on here? It feels a little bit like, here's professional experience. Here is those spelled out extra long. Like, what I would probably instead do is, like, this is actually pretty interesting. And these are probably gives us details about the tech use and stuff like that. Yeah, but it is making me like feel like, what am I what am I doing here? Like this just feels like it's just duplicated here. So that's a little frustrating, but let's do a little bit of deeper dive here. We'll start with the stuff that's a little bit of a bummer, and we'll come back. I don't mind this up here. I don't mind this up here. I know some people hate this, but it's okay. Um, okay. This is just a personal thing. When people say HTML5, CSS3, it's like, well, okay, well, no need to put the number in there. We get it. ESX, we get it. We get it. That's like, whatever. And why not just say TypeScript? I don't know. Are you not using TypeScript? That is a bit of a concern, you know? See, now you're in my world. You're in my world when you start talking JavaScript stuff. Um, yeah, I would prefer to see TypeScript up there, but that's just me. Okay, Node, Express, good stuff. Server action, okay, that's okay. REST, I think when people say REST API, I mean, like, are you talking like down to the letter? You're implementing the spec, like, or you just do HTTP stuff? Like, what does that mean? It just feels a little bit, I don't know. MongoDB, yeah, okay, it's just a bunch of, okay, like, that's fine. That's okay. ORM, yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know about Zod. Like, okay. React hook form, uh, I'd probably just cut this one. Like this, if it's not really good blowing you away, then just drop it. Version control, just yeah, okay. You exist on the earth. You're using version control. Everyone is, so I would just drop it. Development practices, yeah, just drop that. Get rid of that. And what I'd probably do instead of saying front and back end and databases, I'd probably just say like skills and just have like list out your skills or something. Like no reason to have these separate breakdowns. Like I don't know. But even if you do keep them, at least get rid of these extra things. I think it'll clean things up a lot. Okay, so now we're getting out of this tricky thing where we've got this double whammy here where you're doing the same thing twice. Really a tricky situation. And I know you've got this nice, here's what you did, here's some features and stuff like that. What I would probably do is get rid of this because those aren't projects. And I've always said a 10-to-1 ratio, 10-to-1 ratio, where experience is, backwards. Experience to projects. So in other words, it takes 10 projects to equal 1 experience. You don't want to water it down by putting it under the projects. What I would instead do is keep it under experience. And if you want to really spell out how cool this is, like just make a killer sentence that just really impresses me. And if you need an extra couple of bullet points, because this is like what you've been doing, no big deal. But what I would do is really try and just convey this inside here. If you need a couple, like if instead of saying freelance full stacker here, maybe you break this up in some way, or you have subsections where you say, hey, I was full stack developer. Here's a summary of it. Here's a summary of the full stack, my freelance work. I did this stuff. That's a summary of it. Awesome. And then underneath it, maybe you have some sub bullet points that say, okay, maybe I'll do it over here. Under that section, maybe you've got the summary at the top. Maybe you've got some subsections over here where it's like, okay, here is like, big project thing 1, big project 2, big project 3, and then all the little bullet points under there. Some way of grouping it so you can like really spell out all that you've done and credit for it, all this cool stuff, but still make sure it's squarely listed under professional experience. Yeah, that's just my take on it. Yeah, and then let me take one last glance at this because again, I see if there's anything in here that's crazy. JavaScript frameworks, proven track record of client. In general, like if you feel like this is like one of those sentences that everyone's like, like we get, like, and like words like dedicated, you're like, okay, that's good, I guess, but like just people, I think legally, the legal word for it's called puffery, I think, where you basically are just like injecting words to make it feel like there's more going on. Just drop it. And I think people really respect when someone's like, hey, I'm just a full stack dev with a ton of freelance experience. Okay, awesome. We get it. Like, what I would do is really lean into that. You don't say anything about here that, I mean, I guess you say your, client solutions, whatever, but like, if you actually instead say, hey, I have, my freelancing, I've done a lot of freelancing, and it is an awesome way of learning a ton of different systems, dealing with users, and again, we said this in the other one. Where is it? Here. Where you actually are getting that whole loop in. You're getting requirements from the user, you're building something, there's issues, and you fix it, and that whole little loop of like building production level stuff for people that aren't yourself with other stakeholders. You get that basically loop for every one of these projects. You've gotten that full loop, and that's really powerful. So what I would do is find some way of selling that story and making it clear that, okay, in each of these little things, say, hey, designed, implemented, released into production, had a huge improvement. Make it very clear that you've done the full cycle here. These wasn't little pet projects. These were serious work, and you've been doing it for 10 years, or 10 custom applications. That's serious. So I say 10 years. Yeah, and honestly, looking at how long you've been doing it, it's really dense. So, and one of the things that you'll notice in all of these is I haven't talked about years a lot. I don't go in and they say, oh, they've only had 2 years, 3 years. Like here, I haven't even checked how many years have they been here. Like not even that many years. Like not that long. 2023. But if I feel like, hey, they are climbing up the ladder, they're making progress, that's what I notice. And the dates are just small and just kind of like hard to reason about. And I'm not sitting here trying to count number of years. If I look and it feels really good, then that's all that really matters. Yeah, so that's it. That's another resume review. If you like what I did or don't like what I said, let me know. And feel free to send me your resumes. I've got my email below. Feel free to send that. And if you want to build your own resume, or you want to not have to think about this, you don't want to think about ATS, we build a resume builder on Hacker Relay, and it is incredible. So it's invite only, and I have my personal invite in the description, at least for a little bit. So go ahead and take a look at that. And until next time, I will talk to you later.